Hey everybody. So today I had something kind of on my heart that was really, really deep for me. And it is, why do we choose and find partners that can't meet our needs? And this was kind of brought to the table for me and just speaking with different friends who are going through challenges in their relationships. And this just hit me so hard that one partner is wanting their needs to be met, is wanting to have validation, is wanting all these things, whereas the other partner is doing their best to make it through, trying to survive, trying all of these different ways to just feel peace. And so when both people are feeling, I need my needs to be met, and they're not being met, it's often because the other partner isn't even getting their needs met. So I was looking at this and thinking, why is this? And I really, really got quiet and still. And the answer that came was that we are not loving ourselves enough. And then my response to that inside is just, that's too simple. That's got to be too simple. It can't just be that. It can't just be that when we love ourselves, then we get our needs met. Now, I do think that it does have a lot to do with that. I think definitely that when we focus on taking care of our own needs first, and we actually recognize that our happiness is not our partner's responsibility, and that we can get our needs met in many different ways, and all of our needs do not have to be met by our partner, meaning we can have friendships where we get the emotional support that we need. We could have business mentors where we get the kind of validation or encouragement that we need. So there are many different ways, instead of needing your partner to be everything for you, which I think is sometimes a healthier approach, but it's absolutely possible to meet each other's needs. And firstly, I think what needs to happen is clear communication of what needs are that you have. And first, that takes discovering yourself, knowing yourself, and seeing what it is that you want and value. But then as I was diving deeper into this, the piece that really landed for me, and I was really contemplating why it is that we attract partners that can't meet our needs. And the answer that came through was that a lot of times the partner that we attract has a lot to do with how we were parented. So if you're a woman and you're attracting a man or your partner and they have character qualities where you feel your needs are not being met, well, my invitation is to look at were your needs met by your father in your upbringing. And looking at that closely is kind of a good indicator of why it's showing up again in your relationship. Because I heard a beautiful quote that said, we don't search actually for the perfect partner. We search for what is comfortable and what we're familiar with. And there are some studies that show, even if you meet someone and they're wonderful and kind and nice and caring and giving, if you had a dynamic in your childhood of not getting your needs met, not being validated, there may be this unconscious, subconscious belief that when you meet that person, something just feels off about them. They're not as attractive, they're not as sexy, they're not as inviting to you. But that has to do with how you were raised and how the parenting experience was for you as a child. Now, this is not meaning that, you're doomed and there's nothing you can do about it. There absolutely is something that you can do about it. So the first step is just being aware of it. And that's the place of power, when you can actually recognize that once you know this about yourself, you can shift and choose a person that has character qualities that are actually supporting what it is that you need. And you can get clear on that once you write down a list, which is what I teach the women that I do relationship coaching to, is your non-negotiables. So you can have a list of 5 non-negotiables. Maybe, and it can be even more, but it's really getting clear on what do you value, what is important to you, what do you need. And that way you will not be dissuaded by not acknowledging a red flag that you see. So I think a lot of times people, if they see a red flag, they'll let it go because they like the person, or the person is this or that, and they kind of push it under the rug. But when you get clear on what it is that you want and desire. For example, my non-negotiables were that I wanted to feel connected to my source when I was with this man, my partner. And I have an amazing fiance now who I love and who definitely my needs are being met in that. And his needs are being met as well. So the first one, as I said, was I want to feel connected to my source when I'm with him. I want to like who I am when I'm with him. That's huge for me. So those two right there, anytime I was with a guy on a date and I noticed that my energy was shifting so that he would like me, or I was hiding parts of myself, I knew instantly, not the right guy. Not right for me because my non-negotiables were being sacrificed. Okay, so that is a pointer to how I was reverting back to my old patterns of suppressing my voice, shutting down, hiding, those things, which I think are very common for many people. But when you look back to your upbringing, what was the dynamic or the relationship between the father and the daughter, and was the daughter encouraged to use her voice or not? That sometimes can show up in relationship as well. So when you're clear more on your non-negotiables, then you will notice, oh, I'm suppressing my voice. So use this kind of as your guidepost, and it will support you in not kind of reverting back to the old patterns, which kind of can lead to self-sabotage. But the beautiful thing is that even if you're not realizing yet what your non-negotiables are and you're in a relationship or a partnership where you're feeling my partner is not meeting my needs, well, the beautiful thing here is that relationship is one of the greatest catalysts for spiritual growth, regardless of if it's the perfect relationship, if it's a good enough relationship, if it's a average relationship, a challenging relationship, painful relationship. You're going to experience so much growth, so much healing, so much self-discovery, so much personal awakening, and so much learning about who you are and how you show up in your life, because our romantic partners can definitely tell us a lot about how we're showing up. And if you want to know, how you're showing up, reach out to an ex who you have cordial, relationship with, or even someone who you want to create more of a friendship with. Just ask them, how did I show up in the relationship, and what were the ways that I could grow? How could I do things better? Because a lot of times people who are closest to us in our intimate relationship, they can see us even more clearly than we can see ourselves sometimes. So that's the gift here, is that there's definitely a chance for awakening and for growth, even if you're in a relationship that feels like you're not getting your needs met. So there's always kind of something beautiful in every experience and every challenge. And then also within a relationship that at this time feels like you're not having your needs met, what it really takes is getting clear on what you would need in order to have your needs met, and figuring out what it is that you want and need in a relationship, and then learning how to communicate that effectively to your partner and to inspire and encourage them to want to meet your needs. And clearly, if they're not able to meet your needs or not willing, that they're not the right partner. Now, that takes risking being alone. But what you cultivate in that moment is self-love, because you recognize you are valuing being able to receive what it is that you need and want and deserve, more than having someone in your life just for the mere experience of the safety or security of a relationship that may or may not be fulfilling to your soul. So that's definitely something, to look at. Why are you with this person? And what is the deeper reason keeping you there? So I would invite, specifically, I think I'm speaking to women mostly, but also to men too, that when you get clear on your boundaries, have the courage to say it. Have the courage and the clarity to say what your non-negotiables are, what you need, what you want, what you desire, and also invite your partner to tell you what they need and want and desire, and open up that communication so that you both can feel free, you both can feel seen, and you both can be able to contemplate, can I give what my partner needs in order for them to feel fulfilled? Talk about what you can, what you can't, what you're willing to provide, what you're not able to, and open those channels of communication, because that's how you create joy. That's how you create intimacy. That's how you create connection. And honestly, when you have that open communication and that clear conversation about what is true for you, and inviting your partner to step into what is true for them, that can completely revolutionize and transform your relationship into something even more beautiful, something even more magical than you could probably possibly even imagine. So, opening up to that of the importance of honoring your non negotiables, getting clear on what you want, maybe writing down your vision for your relationship, what you'd like it to look like. And then a big key here is write down what are your subconscious expectations of what a relationship will look like, what a perfect relationship will look like. A lot of times this has to do with what you were experienced with or exposed to in your upbringing, with your parents' relationship and their marriage, or in whatever relationships that you saw that you kind of attached the idea that this is what it should look like, this is what I want it to look like. So write down those too, because when you're clear on those, then you'll know to look out for your unconscious patterns that show up if your partner behaves in a certain way that maybe you don't like, or that you weren't expecting or desiring, but they had no idea that you had this subconscious expectation of how they were supposed to be and show up. So when you get clear on that, then you can also communicate that to your partner. This is what my ideal relationship looks like. This is what it consists of. What does your ideal relationship look like? And when you know that, then you no longer have to have these silent expectations that you're holding your partner to that they don't even know that they're supposed to fulfill, or if they even can fulfill it. So that's the beautiful and healing thing about just having that clearing and open communication with your partner. And that's what's actually going to create the beautiful connection that you so desire. And it's absolutely possible, I think, in pretty much most states of relationships, as long as it's not toxic and it's not abusive and it's not clearly disrespectful. But when there are challenges that come up, a lot of times those are extremely healing. That's exactly what we need in order to grow into the beautiful being that we are becoming. And I think that within every person is the David. It's the statue that Michelangelo was chiseling away at to find this radiance, which he called the David. And he said that he wasn't creating it. He was just chiseling at it to reveal the brilliance and radiance that is within. And I think that when we look at partnership as that, as kind of an experience to refine who it is that we are. And I think a lot of times it's the ego that doesn't want to change, that doesn't want to grow, that doesn't want to expand. And when we can choose to look at feedback that maybe doesn't feel so sweet or savory to digest, like, hey, that kind of hurt, or, maybe you could try saying it this way, or it hurt me when you did this, things like that, that it might feel like, ouch, I don't want to hear that. But when you really take it in and think, okay, this person is actually just giving me this feedback to grow me and to help me become a better person. So that can really help support you into being more receptive to feedback that is not just positive and is not just sweet, but is more so growth inducing, because I think that is just as equally as valuable, sometimes if not more. And definitely the encouragement and the support is beautiful. And if that is your love language and you're feeling like your needs aren't being met in that, definitely communicate that to your partner. Communicate to your partner that, hey, my love language is actually words of affirmation. If you've read the book, The 5 Love Languages, you can tell them that and say, when you compliment me or when you say something really nice to me, it provides me this. So talk about how it provides you happiness or peace, or just feeling sure in the relationship, or feeling loved, or feeling adored. And then ask them, the most important piece too is, are they willing to provide you that? Because ultimately it is their choice. And if you have this silent expectation that they need to do something that they're not doing, or maybe they're not able to, or they're not good at it, or maybe they have a story they're not good at it, if you have this expectation, you will feel consistently let down and like your needs are not being met. So there's so many pieces, as I've expanded on here. It's either we're not communicating our needs, so that's part of why they're not being met, or we're not acknowledging that our partner has needs that they need to be met, that we are not meeting, that thus does not enable them to provide you what you need because they are not getting what they need. If you're needing oxygen, you can't breathe. Can you help someone and resuscitate them through giving them CPR? No, you can't, because you need to first take care of yourself and be able to breathe within yourself before you can provide that to someone else. So those are great indicators to look into if you're feeling like your needs are not being met. Looking at, are you meeting the needs of another person? Are you clearly communicating what your needs are, what your non-negotiables are? Asking your partner what their non-negotiables are, what their needs are, having a communication and a conversation on whether or not you both are able to meet each other's needs, and then getting clear on what your upbringing was like, if that was healthy, if that's something you want to recreate in the future, or if it's something you want to let go of. There's definitely a lot of inner child work life coaches and therapists who are so amazing at the work that they do. And that's definitely something that I've studied a lot, and that if you're looking to heal that and shift your relationship to, if you're a woman, relationship to men that you're dating, or if you're a man wanting to shift your relationship to the women that you're dating, or anyone who's dating anyone, definitely reach out to me, because I'm happy to support you in shifting those patterns and kind of reframing your experience in the past, help you create something better in the future and in the present that you actually want and that supports your soul. So all of those things are deeply connected, as I was saying as well. Your childhood and how you were raised, how your silent expectation of what relationships should look like that maybe was not spoken. So clearly speaking, your expectations, your subconscious beliefs, and so on will really, really be supportive to allow you to create the relationship that you're craving and desiring, and to support you in getting your needs met. So I hope you enjoyed it, and just encouraging you to focus on meeting your own needs as well as meeting the needs of your partner.